Today is Friday, November 12th. My name is Pastor Anthony, and this is Wilderness Wanderings. Today our text comes from Ephesians chapter 2, 3, and 4. A few verses from each. His purpose was to create in himself one new humanity out of the two, thus making peace, and in one body to reconcile both of them to God through the cross, by which he, that is Christ, put to death their hostility. That's Ephesians 2, verses 15 and 16. And these words from Ephesians 3, verses 17 through 19. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power, together with all the Lord's holy people, to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God. And lastly, from Ephesians 4, verse 3, make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. Our devotion yesterday mentioned the letter of Ephesians, grace, and the gift of already being a part of God's people, a gift we have only to receive and live congruently out of, to find ourselves in touch with God's blessing. Well, I feel like I have been living in this gift and these texts throughout this past week. And even though it might mean a slightly longer devotion today, I would love to share the story with you, if only in brief, so that you too can be encouraged. Wednesday afternoon, a group of Calvin Seminary students gathered in Hamilton to see what CRC ministry looks like here. I was able to serve as one of the organizers and tour guides for their time. And rather than show them around a church building to see the sanctuary, fellowship hall, and gems closet, we took them on a tour of True City to see the gift that it is to be a part of the reconciled family of God. We started at 541, where they got their food, bought their buttons, and listened in to a young Anglican in roughly the same spot in the ordination track as they are. What keeps a place like 541 running? It was asked. Well, it couldn't happen without the support, community, and patronage of the folks and churches in the True City network, came the reply. This place wouldn't be here without the churches working together for the good of the city. Next, we came to New Hope Bikes, a ministry that has expanded and generated a deep and broad community and hub of activity. Tammy greeted us there, talked about how this ministry grew from the prayerful presence of the church, New Hope Church, and asset-based community development principles incubated at Diaconal Ministries Canada. Is there a True City thread running through this place? We asked. Well, most of our board members, supporters, and funding partners are people from the True City Network, was the reply. Another place that's been blessed and, well, may not be there without that network support. Then we visited Indwell at the Perkins Center, where New Hope Church meets. Again, CRC incubation, by Emmanuelites especially early on, of a ministry that's now deeply supported, staffed, and integrated in Hamilton within the True City Network. An example of which is the 3 or 4 True City churches that have Indwell projects physically integrated into their buildings, or will soon, places like James Street North or Wentworth Baptist. Then we visited Go Hop, the new monastic prayer movement in Hamilton, where not a few of our young adults and Redeemer students have done internships or taken shifts with the prayer teams, and where I myself get spiritual direction. They were the ones, these Go Hop folks, who began praying for the churches and pastors in Hamilton a few years before True City sprang up, and they have been the prayerful anchor for the movement ever since. 20 years now. Never does a True City conference happen without the churches coming together in Go Hop facilitated 24/7 prayer, stretching for a week or two after. I had to leave before Katie shared about Open Homes Hamilton and all the newcomer support that happens here, also through places like the Micah House. But that too is a True City Network story through and through, a thing that may never have existed if the churches weren't together for the good of the city. So summing it all up, The hostility between our churches and denominations has been put to death in the cross of Christ here in Hamilton, at least in some small ways, as we live together in this one new humanity of the church. And together with all these true city saints, I have begun to grasp a little more fully how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ for us and for this city. I think by the end of the tour, our visiting seminarians had started to grasp a little bit of that reality too. Because when the church lives in the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace that was forged between us through the cross of Christ, a whole city can be transformed, structurally, physically, relationally. It has happened, friends. It is happening. And whether you knew it or not, you're already a part of this story, in these ways and so many more. As you journey on, go with the blessing of God. May the peace of the Lord Christ go with you, wherever he may send you. May he guide you through the wilderness, protect you through the storm. May he bring you home rejoicing at the wonders he has shown you. May he bring you home rejoicing once again into our doors.